After taking the league by storm, Adrian and the Filipinos were the second ever team to put their name on the Tribunal Cup. This season, the 8 clubs will once again be able to compete on the ladder, but there will be new challenges facing them as we have made some changes and additions to the rules and the league system. My name is Hayden. I'm your league commissioner alongside of President Diego and owner of Real MC. Sammy Off The Wall joins us to help demonstrate, discuss, and explain the rules and changes at hand. So our league format is going to be staying the same. All 8 clubs will be competing on one ladder, but a major change is the top spot is going to be able to choose who they face in the first round of the playoffs this season.
Yeah, I think that's one of our biggest rule changes overall this year. There is many more to come, but I think that one will be the biggest factor. As if you come in first place, you win the league, as Lawrence did in Season 2 and Aiden and Tropico City won in Season 1. But there's nothing really solid to walk home with, a piece of armor, so getting them into the playoffs as the number 1 seed, they're already the biggest threat. But them being able to choose their opponent instead of having to face the number 8, they might choose number 8s because they've shown to put up the least amount of points in the games played. But we were discussing maybe somebody wants to go back and challenge the one team that they lost to. So that's one of the biggest additions, is being able to choose your number 1 opponent instead of just being placed against the worst team in the league.
Yeah, because other than that, it'll still be the 1 through 8. And if the 1 seed doesn't end up responding or setting a opponent in time, I think we'll give them like 48 hours to set a opponent after that last game is officially done.
For sure.
But hey, I think it'll make some interesting. No league in sports has ever done that, so it'll be cool to see.
Choose your own opponent.
It'll give that last game push and fight for that top spot an extra something. The title race last year, it was big with Adrian contending Lawrence, but this year I think there's going to be even more of something on the line for players to want to go fight back and face that one team that they lost. Out of all 7 games, they're going to go for that revenge tour and choose that match 1. So I think that's going to be something to look out for.
Or they might just pick on the weakling that may have been floating floating their way down towards the ranks.
For sure. Somebody that you've beaten up on already in the season,
maybe. Yeah,
definitely going to go back to that if you've already found the clean sheet against your opponent.
And they're sitting in that 4 or 5 seed, and they're just like, I'm going to pick you up because I know I beat you every time.
Yeah.
I have a perfect record against you, and I'm going to sweep you in 2. Because the playoffs, once again, will still be that best of 3 series. And coming new this season as well during the season, I think during the playoffs we'll also do it, whereas cards will carry over. As if I take a red card during a game, I will be starting the next game with a yellow.
Yeah, I think that's something to make the games feel more intense and in the moment, because last year we saw a lot less penalties than in Season 1. Our skills have gotten much better. So it makes that one penalty you get in that one game very crucial so that you don't get it over into that second match that you play the following day.
Yeah, and starting in a hot seat, you're going to see some games, take Shane, for example, who likes to use his pop shot, right? He'll be taking his pop shots maybe in that first game, and if he ends up with a red card, that next game he may not use that at all because he doesn't want to end up with one, accidentally popping it off the board.
Yeah, for sure. Or even just playing on your toes a little more once it gets down to that crunch time. Playing less of a free-thinking game and more of a strategic approach, because any infraction will get you that second yellow for a red card.
That, and when shots like that do happen and you see moments and people use their specialties that are, being blocked and it's an obstacle for them, it's going to be so much more rewarding.
For sure, because there's a lot of times where I find myself on a clear off the backband, and I'm kind of sketchy if I want to shoot it because last time I shot it, it almost went out. So that's a scenario where if I start a game with the yellow, maybe you don't see me take that bounce off the backband at all that match, because it's simply playing on your toes, not wanting to get a red card.
Yeah, another addition we're going to have at the start of games is changing that We will have rock, paper, scissors if teams have had the same the same outcome in the previous match, or if I won my previous match and he lost his, I get to choose who kicks off, which will be very interesting to see.
Yeah, well, because some players they do like to score right off the setup on the middle, and some players are better on responsive shots. So maybe you'll see some teams give their opponent the first shot of the match because they know there's not really a threat on them. They're just going to put the ball in a decent zone where I could get a straight lane.
If it was season 1, it would be like the NFL, where then at halftime you get the ball.
Yeah. But no, still no halftime. We're going to be running time still. And that can get us right into our first rule change. Our first big rule change is we're getting rid of the 1st to 7 rule. So teams are going to be running it up. Maybe we'll see some double-digit games.
I think so. Just based off of how some teams finish games so strong on a hot streak where they just put 3 or 4 in a row, they're simply stopped because they've hit 7 points. And there's 3 minutes on the clock. So I feel like if we give them another 4 minutes, they could have potentially had 12, maybe 15 points in a 7-minute match alone. Not even adding the stoppage time. Because there's a lot of matches that finish very quickly. We saw Lawrence have basically a 3-minute game after Kevin was kind of making jokes about a game being on the shorts. Game. It was definitely a YouTube Shorts game. Kevin had no points, and that's a game where Lawrence probably could have put up maybe 20. Kevin would have been able to score because he would have not had a 2-minute game.
But see, that's exactly where now a clean sheet truly becomes impressive.
Yeah, because it's no longer I kept a clean sheet in 3.5 minutes after I got on fire and I put 4 shots in.
You went 10-0.
I only got stopped because I have 7.
After 7 minutes or something. That's impressive.
Yeah, 7 minutes. And then also, you got to think, we have stoppage time because of the amount of goals that were scored, the few seconds that it takes for the opponent. If the ball fumbles in the goal, sometimes it's hard to pick it up. And even sometimes like people celebrate or the commentators will try to figure out if it was a goal or not. So that little playing a game where there's not stopped at 7, the stoppage times might be 1.5 minutes if there's some penalties and the score is 10-4. We might as well let this guy at least put up 2 more points on the net. Give him an extra 45 seconds or so because there's probably about 30 seconds of that gameplay of him just trying to retrieve the ball.
And in that stoppage time now during the regular season, we're going to be just regular stoppage time. If teams are tied after that, they tie. They take home a point. But now in the playoffs, as soon as it hits 7, if we're tied at 5, we're tied at 10, whatever it is, we are tied as soon as it hits 7. Whoever hits their next shot, it's it. That's it.
Yeah.
No redemption.
No, and we've seen that happen a lot already. Where in stoppage time, the first team that scores, they score very quickly. And then the next team, they're just off their balance. They know we only have 60 seconds to play. And then they're trying to score on everything rather than just get the ball bouncing around the field.
Our last major rule change is really an addition that we're making, which is called the takeover. Because we're going to be having doubles incorporated into our season. And if you'd like to come play, we have a tournament on the 24th for the preseason. Come feature in a game. If you're ever in New York, we're based in Rockland. Come through. We'd love to have you feature in a game this season. We'll be playing all summer.
For sure. All 6 months. We have from April all the way down to September. There's a long window for you to get in.
28 long games, maybe some tiebreakers too.
For sure. There's some months where there's playoffs. 2 film days, some months where you have 1. But once it comes down to that crunch time, there might have to be a few extra play-in games or tiebreakers played. So if you are on that list of people to play as a guest or a teammate, you might be getting a few extra phone calls on a Friday night to make sure that you could come help us for some more players on a Sunday.
If you're interested in signing up, just go ahead down to the description. It's right there. You'll see the sign up link. Fill out the Google form, and we will contact you for sure. That said, though, doubles, being able to add a partner to your team, sign someone. Obviously, if you come play, you'll be able to play for multiple teams on loans, but you will have a home club.
For sure.
That aside, in-game, we're going to be playing the normal Biñho rules, the way it's written. So, if, it's me versus Sammy, and I have a teammate, he's got a teammate, I would shoot, Sammy shoots, my teammate shoots, his teammate shoots. Normal Biñholiga rules, right? But with our takeover, we're allowing once a game on any possession. So let's say I shot, and Sammy, you see that you want to call a takeover, right? You see that you can set your teammate up for an easy strike, and you can only do this once a game. You're going to be able to flip a coin. The referee will flip the coin. The challenging team would call it in the air, and you have to call it at the start of the possession. You can't shoot and then call it, right? So if he called it, let's say he called red, he gets it right. Now both him and his teammate get to shoot on this possession. So he would shoot, and his teammate would be able to shoot from there.
Oh, that was a great example. That's why we brought Sammy.
That's exactly why you bring in someone who's been in top form to the end of the season for sure. But now let's say we were back here and he loses that, right? He calls red. Ooh, land red. He calls red, but it lands yellow. Now, instead of this team, my team, being able to take 2 shots, it is just a turnover right then and there. Turnover at the spot of the ball, and they will not have any more chances to take a takeover. If you win your takeover and you do score, you'll have one more chance, but you can only use it during stoppage time.
For sure. And that will be the biggest thing to come into Biñholiga, is you trying to make sure that your teammate doesn't use it too early, or you don't use it too early, thinking that you guys are going to get a big lead, because like we said, games aren't capped at 7. If you're on 6, that doesn't mean that's the time to use it. You might want to use it around the 4 or 5 minute mark, just so you know, all right, now I'm only playing with 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes to work with.
That and the position too, you don't want to call it, if like that was a really good place to use an example in terms of, like, that's a dangerous place to give up a possession.
And also for people that know how to set up a pretty good shot, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I know how to put the ball down in that penalty box very easily with this setup. So in my case, I would probably call this takeover, knowing that I could just set my teammate up for a shot up there on the baseline. So there will be times where it is very tricky and risky, because it's just a 50-50 chance. If I call red and it lands yellow, then his teammate continues his second shot after he basically set him up where I'm now trying to get to. So there will be times where there's going to be communications between teammates, but not too long, because you don't want to get a stalling penalty, which was a newest addition into Biñholiga.
Our foul section, yeah.
Yes, our fouls, and that will be the one time where I think it comes into play the most, is people trying to choose if they want to call a takeover or not. You have to make that decision quick. You don't want to take more than 10 seconds, because you will get a yellow on a stall.
Yeah, and stalls are dangerous. You don't want to get called for a stall. Essentially, the way I think I would grade stalls if I was refereeing is if Sammy was shooting at a fast pace all game, and all of a sudden, because he has a lead in stoppage time, or maybe in that 6 minute of play, starts to really take his time, and it's not that he's taking his time, it's that the shots aren't actually landing.
Yeah, he's not trying to, he's playing just to keep away, and it's a very common tactic in most soccer games. Any team has the lead by 1, and there's 30 minutes left. I'm just going to play pass around, keep away from you. And that could happen in Biñholiga, and to avoid that, and people looking around, trying to take a lane. No, maybe I'm going to go this way. Actually, no, I'm going to go straight. When the whole match, like you said, you were playing a certain style where now I can see that you're just trying to delay the game, make sure that your opponent doesn't score. Don't get too carried away, because you will be penalized. You will be warned once, and after that first warning, then will come the yellow card.
No, then will come the just change of possession.
I'm sorry.
You lose your possession right there, just like we did on the what's it called?
The takeover.
On the takeover loss. So that's, once again, a crucial loss you could be at on your goal line if you're stalling, or if you're down Broadway and you give up a shot, that could go the other way and tie the game potentially if you're only up one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really on guys taking too long. It's more when you get out of your play style and it's very noticeable to the commentators, you will be penalized.
For sure. Because we like the high level of play at the end of games that happens, and I tied it up against Adrian in our first ever meeting, but then we saw Adrian is the king of golden goal.
I don't know how he does it. He just has that composure and finesse when it's needed. And it's usually he finds himself on the baseline needing to hit something deflecting. Very rare does he hit any direct shots on that golden goal scenario. It's around the bands or off the pins.
Yeah, he's done it to me, you, and Shane. And he might just do it to you this season because he's going to be wanting to defend that title the way Club Shiesty did this season.
I mean, if the trend is continuing, that means Adrian will finish first in the ladder and he will be picking his opponent. And that's a very dangerous thing because he looked tough against all 7 teams this year. So season 3 is definitely going to be a go to look out for. And I'm definitely excited for the doubles and all the new scenarios to come with it.
For sure. I think the rules are going to be not too different than last season, but I think refining our system, adding more people in will make the league much more fun, a lot bigger, and a better experience for you at home.
I know you want to join Real MC, all y'all watchers. So. Hit me up.
Hey, anyone's taken right now, we're going to need doubles partners all season long. So like I said, hit that sign-up form. And before we leave, we have one special announcement from Diego.
The BC Fumetas are taking over a new look. The name will stay, but we will be donning a new crest, and it will be shown up right here on the screen.
So, due to league changes, wanted to change up the image, make it look more presentable to what you imagined BC Fumetas to be representing.
Yeah, for sure. The full story behind it is the story of David and Goliath. So the Stoners will still be there representing as the Stoners, just on a new fashion.
Well, there we go. So season 3, no necessarily new clubs, maybe, but nothing's in stone just yet, except that crest change. But thank you for joining us for the rule changes. Let us know your thoughts if you'd like to come play this system and put your skills to the test on the timer and see if you can be as dominant as Adrian was in his rookie season.
Oh, for sure. And if you can't make it to the season, stay tuned for all the tournament announcements. We have plenty of tournaments in the works for this season and the rest of the year. So if you can't make it on the Sundays, be on the lookout for any dates coming.
Thank you for watching. My name is Hayden.
I'm Diego.
And Sammy.
We'll catch you this season. That would have been tough if you rocketed one up there and just made it. That would have been fire.